Okay, I have a confirmation now that everyone can hear me. So we start right away, and I will try as much as possible to be as brief as possible because the story is so long and the presentation itself is up to 103 slides. So I'm not going to follow the presentation. I will attempt to give a summary of the story and how and some little discussions as it applies to us in our own communities. Um, First of all, okay, let me welcome everybody officially. In the Korean language, we say Yorobun, 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 우마르 데이레 유스프입니다. 반가워요. So what I was saying is that hello everyone. My name is Engineer Umar Deire Yusuf. Nice to meet you. So we are going to start, and our topic, as you know, is the Samuel Undom New Village Movement. That is how they title it. Actually, many of us love South Korea. When I stepped into South Korea, I contacted some people. I discovered that I was so privileged despite the fact that I didn't develop any interest or any much knowledge about South Korea. I discovered many people were telling me, oh, they love South Korea because of this and that. So some say because of the K-drama, some say other things, some even mention some of the foods here, like the ramyeon, that is like our Indomie back there, but they have it in a special way, and then people so love it. And I mean, I think these people are so developed that it is nice for us to learn one or two things from them. Yeah, I am so surprised, so shocked that I'm one of the people that is so neglected many things. I don't know any K-drama or so, but I found myself in South Korea. So we're going to look at some background, what even the Samuel Undom means. But before we start that, we have to look at the Korean background, where they started. These people really suffered. These people, they started from zero after some war battles with likes of Japan and subsequently North Korea. If you can look at my slide here, I am showing you how these people battled with some crisis in the past. Their cities, their villages, all were brought down to zero. And I mean, they started from the scratch. Everything was destroyed. Nothing was left for them. They have no option than to start from the scratch. From this photo, you can see how everything is destroyed. You can see this is how their city is reduced to, their capital city. These are some of the places. Nothing encouraging at all. Life was completely gone for them. But these people performed miracle. They call them, people used to refer to them as, they say, the miracle of Korea. This statement from this PowerPoint presentation, it say in less than 60 years, Korean cities and regional development have showed a rapid progress. How do they do it? Is it a magic? We've done a lot of things, but I mean, I don't know. We are not getting it. How do they do it? I don't know. Now these guys are on the top, and I think we have a lot of things to learn from them. So these are just some photos. This is not our main presentation. This is a different slide presentation, and I'm actually not the original author of this PowerPoint presentations, but they are from my teachers, and I believe that they are free people. They made it known to us that there is no problem. We can actually make use of these resources. So one of these materials is actually from like my leadership uh, training, and I will be making use of it uh, mostly. So the concentration sometimes will be on the slide, so you may not see my face. So don't worry about it as far as you can hear my voice. And at some time, I'm going to bring up my face for you if you really want to see me. Okay, so what is the background about this Samuel Edom? Samuel Edom actually is a model that has been used by the Koreans to develop their villages. I mean, it started as a coincidence, like just a mere coincidence, uh, when the president saw the problem, the backwardness in the villages, and determined that, oh, there must be something must be done to change this situation. At that point, if you look at the PPT, is showing that 70% of Korean population lived in rural areas. 70% are living in rural areas, and 80% lived in the houses with thatch roofs and used oil lamps. So they're just like us. There is no difference. They started just like us, and some of our villages are still like that. So it is not something different. They are also human like us, and whatever they have done, we have the capability to also do. These are some of the villages. If you look at it, you can see the thatched houses. These are the places they started from in the 1960s. You can see that there are no good roads. You can see the water, the villagers constructed some local means of crossing rivers. You can see in these photos how they devise means that they will be crossing the rivers, but it is too backward. I mean, the practice is so backward that something really needs to be done. So their president at a particular time, he looked at the situation, and he saw that manufacturing, you know, manufacturing was actually going far above agriculture, like 9 times. You can see 20.3%, while agriculture is at 2.3%. And then annual household income growth for the urban areas is almost like I can say 4 times that of the rural household. So those people in the rural areas, they almost have no life. Like the life is always only in the urban areas. That is why most of them want to migrate. They're migrating to the city to look for white collar jobs, just like our own situations. In fact, we're still battling with it. Although, even when a country develops, even when their rural areas are also developed, sometimes the capital city, especially, is almost as if you cannot stop people from moving there, because there are some opportunities that most of the time are only in the capital city. However, we can reduce this drastically if we take some actions to actually give life in the rural areas. There are people who are going to agree to stay back. Yeah, they are going to pick the option of staying back in the villages if we make everything to be okay for them as they want in the villages. So the president, as at that time was President Park Chung-hee, he was the one that initiated this Samuel Undong on April 22nd in 1970. Yeah, so he said no, he has to bring a change apart from the 5 year economic plan that he drafted, which is the normal government approach to develop their own nations, which is a form of top down approach. And those of you that are good in economics, is a kind of macro approach. He said he has to do another one to motivate. Normally the bottom top approach is supposed to be by the people, but since the people are not seeing it, he chose to do something, at least something that will motivate them to see the light, so that they will also contribute to the development of the nation uh, from the perspective of the bottom top approach, which is micro in this case approach, and which is actually Samuel Undom. So the 5 year economic plan was a top-down approach by the government based on their policies, and then the second option, or the second wing of the national development then was Samuel Undom. So, what is this Samuel Undom itself? Let's give the background first. Maybe I will just do some reading about his first speech, the first speech that the president made on the April 22nd, 1970. He says, so long as there is no voluntary will to change themselves on the part of rural villagers, there will be no chance of modernization of villages, even after 5,000 years. So he was saying that, oh, if they are not going to put in some voluntary will to do that, it is too much for the government. The government cannot reach that level. Korea have different levels in their own country. The village is the very, very last level, because they have the central government, which is at the top, and they also have the province, they have the county, they have the sub-county, then the villages. The villages are really and are actually the very last. So he said, if villagers willingly step forward to make things different, it is possible to have better living environment in 2 or 3 years, even with little help from the government. Even with little help from the government, just a little push from the government, people on their own, they can make the change. People on their own, they can realize themselves and put themselves together to develop their own villages, to change their own stories, because they don't really want to be poor. It is not their fault to be born to be poor, but someone says that if you die poor, then it is your fault. So I continue with his statement, the one in the red ink. He said, we are not doomed to live poor. Rather, if we work hard for our community with the spirit of self-help and cooperation, I am sure that we will have a different environment where people are all well off. He said, we might call this campaign Samuel Cultivation Campaign. So this was the campaign. This was the campaign by the president of that time, President Kim. And what is the meaning of Samuel Undom? The word Sa came from new or change or betterment or development. And then mall, the mall that makes it Samuel, means village, community, neighbors. Then Undom is movement. So when you put it together, you see that it is a movement that continuously works to bring positive changes in villages and communities. So that is it. That is the movement that he stirred up. He risks even his own political position, because at a point his party members were telling him what he is doing is dangerous, because election is close by, and then he's implementing something that it is not everybody that is going to accept. You know, human being by nature, we don't want to do things together with others. Everybody wants prefer to do things on his own, my own, so that I can say this is my own, this is my achievement. Some people, we call them one man gang. They want to do their things all alone. In fact, even today, in this university or in some schools, people could be very good friends, or they could be relating very well in their classes, but they start having problem, they quarrel with each other, they even fight, they even end up not talking to each other when you give them a group assignment. That is where they start having problem. So it is not easy to start a movement that you will need the cooperation of people, that you will need people to all come together and achieve a goal. So what did they do, or what was the first thing that he did? So the president so what the president decided to do was, he they started the coincidence was that they started a cement manufacturing company. They were producing cement, and then they produced a lot of cement, bags of cement. But unfortunately, people are so poor, the patronage was poor, and then they have a lot of cement that were not sold. And time was going. Time was going. President Park Chung Hee decided that no, he will start with this cement to do something to cause that change in the people, in the villages. So he decided that he is going to share this cement equally to villages all around and allow them to decide what to do with them. You know, so there are up to 33,267 villages. So he shared 335 sacks per village. 335 sacks were shared per village for them to determine, to come together. Oh, I mean, he didn't even specify. He just allowed them to decide what to do with them. I mean, this movement, the Samuel Udom movement, is not about an individual. It's not about that farmer, that peasant farmer in the village alone. It's all about the whole village, a whole village participation, a cooperative work. So, after he shared this cement to the villages, there happened to be three different categories of villages. I categorize them as three categories because, or let me say, due to their responses to the cement that are given to them. The first category of village, some of them asked, cement for what? They were so angry, they just dumped the cement outside, and rain fall and damage the cement. Then there is categories 2 of the villages who decided to distribute equal quantity of the cement to every household. They distributed the cement to every household equally. These ones also, although their approach was reasonable, the quantity of cement per family was too little, so most families did not do anything reasonable with it. Then come the correct communities, the villages that actually stirred up the spirit of this Samuel Undom, who decided to call for a village meeting. They discussed, they look at their problem. What are the areas that they should prioritize? What are those things that they can do with this cement that are easy for them? Because government did not provide any further support, no even technical support. So they sat down together and bring up projects that they executed together. And after some time, the government decided to come and check what they have done. You know, this is just like the story in the Bible, the parable of the seed, of the master that gave his servant some seeds. When he came back to check, he checked the profits that they made. You know, so for the first villages, nothing to show. The first category of villages that decided to dump it just outside, rain whatsoever damages it, nothing to show. The ones that share equally, they could show a little of achievement maybe by some families. However, those that work together, put their heads together to do some community projects, were able to show projects that motivated the government to continue with the Samuel Undom project. But what did the government did? The government did something that maybe you may think that it is not so good, but they decided to do that because they have a target to ensure that the people do the development by themselves. Government just pushing them a little. So what the government decided, President Park decided that those villages who are able to do reasonable things, he is going to give them more. He is going to give them more. In the second year, he gave them 500 bags of cement per village. Those who did not do anything, he gave them nothing. Because he said that we cannot keep on supporting people who have nothing to show. We are poor. We have to work so that we change our situation. And if somebody is not ready to work, we cannot continue. You know, the problem then was that most of them are farmers, and then they farm during the rainy seasons, and then during the dry seasons, they end up gambling and drinking only. Gambling, drinking, gambling, drinking. The government say we cannot support people who will be gambling and drinking and just wasting resources. Although some of them during rainy season they are hardworking, but what he did is that the first set of bags of cement that were given out were given during the dry season, during those their resting period, during those periods that they really squander whatsoever they worked for instead of trying to do a development. So you can see from the screen, these are some of the kind of projects done in the villages, especially those that were able to start something. Expansion and pavement of village entry roads, done by themselves. Done by themselves. Expansion and pavement of village inroads, cleaning villages and improvement of streams, building public laundry facilities, building public wells, modernizing roofs from rice straw roofs to tile and slat roofs, modernizing fences from wood fences to bricks, cement fences, building bridges, improving water systems, building compost fields. You know, so the government discovered something after the result from the first year. What did they discover? They discovered that for those communities that succeeded, they had leaders. It was the leaders that made it happen. So the government decided that, okay, what we're going to do now is we need to groom the leaders. We need to pick leaders. So they get back to the communities and ask them to elect leaders. They have to elect the leaders by themselves. No government intervention. It is not political. Samuel Undom is something that is, it's an approach that is so neutral we can implement because it has no religious inclination, no political inclination, it has no tribal differences. Communities working together. So he decided to ask them to elect their leaders, people they are sure that can deliver, one male, one female, to be trained very well, and pick that spirit of Samuel Undom. The spirit is actually the spirit of development. It's a spirit to become a change agent. It's a spirit to carry your community, the burden of your community in your heart. It's the spirit of not looking at yourself, but we, not looking at I did this. This is mine, but this is ours. We did this. And the spirit of patience, because it is not easy. It's really difficult for you to put people together to do something. Just look at it in our communities. Within your street, maybe you are struggling with something that you can fix. For example, when there is rainfall and it's causing some problem such as erosion, and then you people can come out together within that street. The different families there, the households there can come out together and fix this problem, but you can make the attempt, make the call, and I'm telling you, if you are not lucky, nobody will not even come out. Nobody will come out. Or you may end up getting just one person or so. I lived in a particular street in Kaduna where there are big people, rich people, story buildings or so, but their road construction, the what we call the their bridges, their small bridges that they did in that on that street was done by a particular person that I don't consider to be rich, like one of the houses that is looking very little, because he carries the spirit. He carries the burden, and he didn't do it to just connect to his own house, but to the entire street. So we can do many things. We within our streets, or within maybe some roads that are linking to our street, you can see what we call number two. You can see that they are filled up sometimes with trash, maybe from rainfall or so. Sometimes people even deliberately throw trash into them, and is blocking the drainage possibility, and this risks even destroying people's houses and the rest, but people are not going to come out. Nobody will come out just like that to try to fix that problem. I think we are supposed to learn from these people. So the government now chose to support this category of villages by giving them additional cement, and this time around with 1 ton of steel bars. So because they need some bridges, they need some culverts. Some of them are not so complicated. There are talented people there. They even need to construct some roads, because government started interacting with them to hear their own plans. Government did not give them the plan. Sometimes they give them some suggestion, but they leave them to decide, to conclude on what to do. So what the government does is they start giving them technical support, because some of them attempted to do some bridges, but because of their lack of technical know-how, the bridges collapsed. So what government decided is that they now started providing some technical support and maybe just little incentive in terms of money. So the leaders were picked and trained very well, so that they can carry their own people alone to do a lot of projects that are going to help them to to increase in income. I mean, agricultural income, which was primarily their business, and then they will improve their own environment. They make it better. They make it better for their own good. And the most important thing that Samuel Undom achieved, and happened to be, let me say, the most difficult task usually, which I believe that the leaders struggle with, is the mental change. Mental change. If you can change your mentality over some things, I mean, many people, their problem is solved already if they can have a mental change. You change from negativity to positivity. Many of the farmers used to be pessimistic, and this program make them to have a mental change. So over the years, as those villages who rejected uh, uh, the suggestion of the government discovered that those villages who embrace the development keep on developing their communities. The difference is clear. Today you are going to see this infrastructure, tomorrow they see another infrastructure. Oh, they run back to the government and say, oh, we are sorry, we are very sorry, forgive us, we are ready to join you people. Because they look at the competition, they don't want to lose. Nobody want to lose. So they challenged themselves. They went back. They went back and requested to join this particular program. So they learned in the hard way, right? So they learned in the hard way and they have to join. And then the competition increases because people began to have the sense of belonging, sense of ownership. That is a mind change. Sense of ownership. Yeah, a road that you put hands together to build, you cannot allow it to be damaged anyhow. When you see a pothole on that road, you would like it to be addressed because you say, this is our road, we made it. Confidence started coming back into the people because they saw that they were not confident enough, but putting their heads together, they could do great things. They could point at one or two things that they achieved together. So they start loving to do something. They want to prove this community is competing with the other community to show them their own achievement, and government support was very little. Government discovered that it is not about pumping money to these people in the villages. The monies you cannot, they cannot account for it if you are just pushing money. After all, they don't have much money. So what they were doing is giving them materials, and they voluntarily did many things with their own hands. I mean, they really suffered. I mean, they sweat. Some of them even cost their own blood to see that there is a difference in their own places. So the sense of confidence came back to people. They say, we work together and we did this. They did great things. They learned cooperation. So, and it continues. I will be jumping some things in the slides because we cannot cover all. These are some of the environmental projects. When government started assisting them, they gave they used to give some ideas. uh, the villagers were giving suggestion, a blueprint to use in selecting projects based on their needs, because every community have different problem, they have different priorities, they are peculiar in their own ways. So the government just give them ideas according to their places, maybe using their regional planners, some civil engineers or so, and then they just provide them materials according to what they conclude on doing. That is the villagers. So voluntarily they take their decisions, have their meetings without government intervention. There was no politics in it. In fact, the government was taking serious risks because many people are dissatisfied, especially the aged people. So most Samuel Undom leaders, the criteria was to be youths. I think between the age of 35 to 40, they are the people that are usually elected to represent their own people, because youths are the drivers of change. People that are old, not that all of them don't want change, but some of them are already tired. Some of them have very old ideologies. Some of them are thinking that whatsoever they are doing will not benefit them again because they don't have much time to live on earth. So youths are the ones that are used. They are youths actually below the ages of 40. So if you can look at this screen, you can see some of the things that the people were doing. This is road construction. This is a bridge construction. I cannot call this one culvert. It is more than a culvert. So probably the government only helped them technically with some technicalities and then allow them to do it. So this is example of a compound project. I'm going to make this PPT available. Maybe I'm going to share a link to a drive. Maybe I will share a Google Drive link so that those that are interested can download the complete PowerPoint presentation. So the Samuel Undom project expand to the extent that the government leadership and support is being felt, and is felt by the villagers, and the villagers contribution is voluntary participation. And then the Samuel leader, dedication. During their trainings, they are rigorously trained. They are rigorously trained to the extent that they, 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 they are denied access to radios, newspapers. All they are concentrating on is to learn about the Samuel leadership, is to learn the spirit. Spirit I'm talking about here is not indoctrination, because it's not a religious thing. To have the spirit, to have it from inside out, giving out to the community, inside out. And they were not paid. They were not paid at the beginning. It was later on that they were paid. And this Samuel Indom is still practiced in Korea, but we are particularly interested in the 1970s because that was when the practice was at its own peak, and that was when they really made the change. They drove the change in the villages. So let's take a look at Samuel leader. Okay, as I said, usually one male, one female leader from each village, and they put here average age 39 years old. I told you it's usually below 40 years. This is an example of election. This guy won, so it's like a grassroots politics, but it has nothing to do with the main politics of the nation. Nothing to do with the politics of that country. They were just doing their things. They were developing their communities. This is a leader trying to address his people, a general assembly of leaders, of villagers rather. This is the institute This institute was built, and then they held this training in 1973. They were at this level at that time. Just imagine. It was a serious training. Talk of war. Talk of war is another way to learn group work. Actually, you collaborate. You work with other people to win, to drag the other group down. So at a particular point the development was reaching a particular level that they don't have projects to do in the villages that will actually change their economic status directly. They even started inter-village projects, so that if there is a very good resource in another community, and then in your community that community is depending on yours, maybe in community A is depending on community B for a particular resource, and community B is, or vice versa, then maybe they can do a road construction project together to link up their communities. And this is the Samuel Undom Central Training Institute, built by 1983. They took it so serious. The president did not lose anything. He took the risk. He didn't lose anything. It was yielding results, so it made all sense for them to continue. Yeah, people do change. People can change. We cannot just conclude that people are tough also when we have not made the attempt. It was growing to the extent that, village heads, actually the structure is that village heads are involved, the sermon leader is involved, and then the villagers are involved to make it to work. And then they are taught a particular kind of mathematics. For example, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is supposed to be 3, but for sermon leader, 1 plus 1 plus 1 should be 5 or 6 or more, because they are looking at the individuals that are involved, and then they are also counting the output from them. So what indirectly this is saying is that for the Samarundam approach, they don't expect that when 3 people work together, they are going to bring 3 units of the result. They believe that it should be more than that. 2 heads are better than 1, or multiple heads are by far better than 1. And is in multiple is not directly as the number of people. So, just as I said, the government started seeing the profit that these people are making. Like what they give them, it will be like just 20%, and then they will make like 80% more on it, and it's like 100%. And then some of the villages became like companies for the government, and the sermon leader is the CEO automatically, because the productivity begins to come out. And then one thing that is so special during the Samuel training is that at some time, unannounced visit by the president of South Korea will take place. You will just see him there, so the people feel more special. My president comes to visit me. Look at these people with the president directly, and then look at this particular person decorated by the president, decorated, given award and decorated by the president directly. When you come to such training, after this kind of treatment, you have no option than to pick the spirit that I will do more. I will do whatsoever in my capacity to make sure that I transform my people, I transform my village. So I don't want to talk about the finances, but just know that government did not put much, but government keep monitoring, keep evaluating, and checking what the outcome is. So at some point when they are making so much profit, they decide to start sharing half of the profit. Those that went into agriculture, for example, their farms, they start sharing like half of the profit to members, and then half still go back to the investments that they have. So these are some of the things you can see from the PPT. You can see agriculture, mechanization, all these tractors were obtained by them, were acquired by them, not government. You can see rice plantations together. You can see a lot of work being done together, production of compost in Bouillon, Chungnam, production of infrastructure, that is irrigation infrastructure in the villages. You can even see some roads. You can see it's done by the people, locally by the people. So they start getting good road network, manageable road network into the farms so that they can transport their crops after uh, harvest. You can see all these projects. These are like riverside wasteland for farming. So it's not the matter of during dry season again you go and be drinking and gambling. There is something to do. There is work to do. This cultivation of oyster mushrooms, making trades from grassroots, from the roots of grasses. They started, people were discovering many things that they took for granted. They were discovering and using it. This is ginseng products they started producing. They started raising squirrels, raising birds, different locations. This is in Kyombuk. Handicraft on pottery, weaving rush mats, goat raising, piggery, pig farm, fish farm, the eels, collecting clams in mud flat, oyster farming. You can see the photos. Clearly, you know that communities are doing things all together. Even in our place, there was a practice in the past. I don't know whether it's still on. Even the corner people do it most of the time. They call it Gaya. They invite themselves and go to one person's farms and do a massive work there. Then the next time will be the other person's farm. And in those period, those practices, you discover that you do a lot. You do a lot more than when you are alone. There is a particular motivation. Safe motivation is not easy, but when you are amidst people, you are more and more motivated. Cultivation of saplings, construction of embankments. You can see clearly their participation. People, women are not left out. Women contributed so much also. Yeah, because one of the leaders is a female, one is a male. They grew to start having silk mill, wig like factories, summer factories for wigs. Oh, this is payday, very sweet payday. Oh, so they started getting paid. Some of the people that are working, they started getting employed in some of the little or small industries that have been developed over the years. Marketing for income generation. Yeah, because there are road networks. So cars can come, they can market, they can drive to other settlements, they can do some things so that perishable goods don't get wasted. They gather agricultural products for marketing. You can see the example, vehicles set to move. All these are products. So a lot of achievement, a lot of achievement. You can see example of replacement of roof and fence. So they started using better materials, improving their villages all on their own. The grassroots people started becoming happy, and not everybody was hungry of going to the city. Women participated. Women even started forming women groups that they developed their own selves. You can see one of the bridges that was constructed by the local people. Yeah, it used to be this. They struggle, maybe they put some logs of wood to step on, but sometimes the water even overflow it. So the bridge really helped them. You can see some vehicles moving. You can see some houses. So I was talking about women participation. Jamdori, the women were in need of money and there was no money for this project. You know what they did? It was funny actually, but it paid off. They started saving rice. What it means by saving rice, for example, when rice is provided in the family to cook for the family, if there are like 20 measures, they decide they always keep reserve one measure because they know that while cooking 19, the family will not die. People will not die. Just one taken out of 20. So they reserving it, they put it together, and they sold, they were selling them. This is their buyer selling them, and that is how they raised money. They were able to raise money and contribute their quota. Before you know, they also start establishing businesses on their own. Women were not left out. You can see a village shop, and the village shop is generating income. It's out of Samuel project. They know how they appropriate the profits. You know, so I think I cannot go through everything, but we have to learn, or we, I'm sure that we have already learned a lot of lessons from these Samuel Undom experiences. It's a model that people can use. Although I know that our communities may have our own peculiarities, but you can pick something, even as an individual. You can be determined to change. Mental change is one of the most important things. You know, in this project, they say that um, they normal say that give me fish. Okay, no, that don't give me fish, teach me how to fish. You know, they say that it's good like that, but before you are taught how to fish, you are supposed to know why fishing. Why should you fish? So they teach you how to why, or they tell you why you should fish. Then uh, that takes you to the level of how to fish. As I said, the committee, Sabolundom has committee of the Samuel leader, the village chief, and also the village organization. It reached an extent that during their trainings, some political leaders have to be added. Even ministers, they will say one minister or so, a minister that his work relate to some of the project, like Minister of Agriculture, join them. Minister of Commerce, join them. Gradually, government presence was becoming so much in it. So to the extent that Samuel Undom drove the development of South Korea through the bottom-top approach, that UNESCO in 2013 recognized them as UNESCO Memory of the World. Samuel Undom, UNESCO Memory of the World. So I think I'm going to stop here. There are a lot of things, but looking at our own communities, how do you think we can apply it to our own communities? I know it's complicated. I know 1970 and now is different. I know Korean people may have their own peculiarity, different from our own people or different from us, but definitely we must have something to learn from this. And what is that? For example, I gave an example that within our streets, you will see roads, erosion, chopping or destroying a road, and people are within that street, they don't care. Maybe one person will come and do it, others may even pass without even greeting the person. Some people even may even pass and hiss. No, that is not a community spirit. Even the insecurity problems we are facing, let me tell you, I know it's not easy to tackle insecurity, but if we are together, if we agree to be friends, to be together, to work together, I'm very sure that we can conquer this insecurity by far. It's more difficult to depend on government. It's easier for the people to do it themselves, for the people to put heads together and fight the menace around them. The people know more of the problem more than government. The people in the villages know where and where to put attention and get the result that they need more than the government does. So if we can embrace each other and we can drop some of these differences, you don't see your neighbor as somebody that you are competing in life with to pass them or so, but like somebody that you can achieve something together. I think we can go a long way to change our situations. Even within the family, if family can be together, not everybody just doing his own thing. If we can come together as a family, we can achieve greatness. That we can say, yes, we did this. You can put heads together, even if it means to project somebody up, somebody whose future is bright. You can put heads together and sponsor somebody to achieve certain qualification or skills or positions that will help the entire family. Can we have this kind of spirit of working in teams, working together with people around us as a community for a common goal, to achieve something that will say, yes, we did this, not I did this, not this is mine, this is ours. Some of our streets in Nigeria, we are waiting for government to come and construct our road or fix it. Even the federal roads, they have not fixed them to satisfaction. And the state road, they have not fixed them to satisfaction. Is it your street that is hidden that you think that the government will come for you? I think it is not right for us to be thinking that way. I think I have to stop here. I don't have much to say. I am seeing a lot of comments. I have another event to attend. I have to apologize. I actually made a mistake. I forgot about it. I will have given a time interaction, maybe if people can ask questions, but I'm still on the platform. So you can ask questions if you want to ask questions or make contributions or so. From me to you is to say thank you, which in the Korean language we say kamsamida.